This podcast is part of the Pull Up a Chair podcast network. Let's build community through connection, conversation, and collaboration.
Hey, I'm Ryan.
And I'm V.
And you're listening to Cringe With Me, the podcast where we dig up the cringiest articles, questions, and tidbits of human culture to review with you, our listeners, so you too can cringe with me.
I'm hypocritical, but at least I know we could be beautiful or maybe terrible.
And we're back.
Yes,
Back again.
yes, it's me again. I've got a new article for us. This one is another Am I the Asshole? Again, this is one of my favorites. Hard to get away from this.
I mean, it's classic.
Yeah, it's good stuff. So this one, Am I the Asshole for telling my stepmother to get over her child calling my wife mom?
Oh.
So that sentence alone paints a very interesting picture, right? So, am I the asshole for telling my stepmother to get over her child calling my wife mom?
That is a family tree that I almost want to draw out. Okay.
Well, we're going to need a map. It gets a little interesting. It will make sense. I promise.
Okay. I trust you.
We're getting in.
But I do.
My father married my now stepmother. Okay, so this is the stepmother who's upset.
Okay.
Late in life after an accidental pregnancy.
Oh.
Okay. For reference, my father is 71. My wife and I are 32 and 30, right? So
okay.
got the husband and wife in their 30s.
Yes.
His father, 71. His stepmother,
oh no,
the wife of his father, is 41.
Ah!
30 years younger. And this was an accidental pregnancy.
Oh,
right?
she's only a little older than his kids.
It sounds like they only married because he got her pregnant. Right?
Oh, no. Cringe.
It gets more complicated and more cringy.
How?
But this is where it starts, right?
Okay.
So my father remarried someone 30 years younger than him and only 10 years older than me and my wife.
Okay.
My stepmother was diagnosed with stage 3 cancer while pregnant, and it has progressed to stage 4. She has less than a year to live.
Oh.
So a dark turn on top of this complicated family drama, right?
Why?
This is where we're at. We've already worked it out between the three of us. I'm assuming when he says the three of us, that he means his father and his wife. So
okay.
him and his wife and his father already worked out that after my stepmother passes on, my wife and I will be adopting the baby.
Was the mother of said baby not involved in the conversation?
It sounds like no.
That's bad.
It's the perfect solution.
Ah!
This is the perfect solution.
I don't think there is a perfect solution, my dear.
My father will get to fully retire and have a more appropriate grandfather role. Appropriate
means not sticking your ding-a-ling in something young enough that you could change their diapers.
I ain't gonna criticize someone for getting laid. That's on them.
He can get laid by another 70-year-old, I'm just saying.
I mean...
Old ladies
they're
like...
consenting adults. We're not gonna dig into that too much. My wife and I will be able to have a second child. And our older child will be able to have a younger sibling that they've already bonded with, since we already do most of the care for the baby because she's far too ill. So they're already taking care of this child a lot.
Okay.
Their older child has bonded with this child as like siblings would. And they just think this works out for everybody because they don't want, when this woman passes, their 71-year-old father to be taking care of a child. That's a lot.
Okay.
Right? I don't know if it's a perfect solution. It is a solution.
No, it is absolutely a solution. It's totally valid. I am concerned about the way that they are phrasing it. That's all I'm saying.
Sure. This is where things start to turn. I came over to visit and show them pictures and videos of the kids. I didn't think about this, but in one of the videos, the baby can be heard saying mama to my wife.
So the baby's pretty big by now.
It's at least speaking.
So like maybe 3-4 months is when a lot of babies learn their first word. My husband's first word was meat. He's now a vegetarian.
I love it.
Right. Okay. Continue.
She got angry at that and asked if we allow the baby to say that, which we do. And it came out that we would be adopting the baby when she passes on. So this is how it was revealed.
She did not know.
She didn't know.
That is horrible. That is so freaking horrible that she didn't know what was happening with her child after she was passing. What if she wanted it to go to her sister? The child. What if she wanted the child to go to her sister or her parents or...
Well, legally speaking, she doesn't get to make that decision.
She can. She absolutely...
Only if it can be demonstrated that the father would be incompetent.
Which she could make a good case for because of his age.
Possibly.
Yeah, anyways, let's continue on.
She balked at that and said she would never allow it. But quite frankly, that's just not her choice. I tried to tell her not to worry about it and that we would make sure that she wasn't forgotten.
Good.
But she got angry and tried to say that she would stop it. I shouldn't have engaged, but I did and ended up telling her to get over it because that's just what it was going to be. She started crying and I stormed out. My father is upset with me for upsetting her, which I feel bad about, but she's the one who made a big deal about it. She never had to even think about it. She brought it up, not me. We didn't want to stress her out about it because there was no need to. But what did she think the reality of the situation was going to be? My wife and I are already the ones raising this child. My father is too old to fully raise another child or even want to. I don't think it's my fault that she pressed for a truth and then didn't like what she found out.
I have a couple of concerns here.
Mm-hmm.
One of the concerns is why didn't the mother of said child have a conversation with her husband while pregnant, while knowing that she had cancers? We need to figure out what happens if, potentially when, I die. Like, that is something you need to plan out if you're dying.
It does seem surprising to me that this hadn't been a conversation. Although, to me, it kind of sounds like maybe this was a conversation already because they were already caring for the child. They've been caring for the child.
It was probably like, for the moment while I am suffering, could you watch this child?
But she knows it's terminal. Like, she knows she's going to die.
Okay, so I actually have a couple relations that, like, personal things kind of match this. When I was a young teenager, I was living with my grandmother who was dying of breast cancer.
Okay.
My mother at this point had completely abandoned me, and my father was long dead.
Mm-hmm.
There was no conversation of what was going to happen to me afterwards.
Interesting.
Yeah,
okay.
But I will say that this was not the time I was forgotten at a cemetery. That was when my dad died.
Sounds like
I was literally left at the cemetery because nobody thought, oh, we should, take her home with us. But okay, it wasn't this time. But there, in that same situation, the person dying of cancer who was in charge of a child also did not have a conversation with anybody over who was taking said child.
Wow.
So it's not uncommon.
That just because it happens twice doesn't mean it's like...
No, it shouldn't be done. Like, if you're dying and you have a kid, you should definitely be like, hey, you want a kid? Hey, you want a kid? Hey, you want a kid?
I can't imagine dying and having a child and not thinking about their future. Like that.
Right?
I can't fathom that.
Being the child in that situation, maybe I'm a little biased because I would always think, okay, what would happen to my kid if blankety blank blank blank?
Right.
But I would think that even without being terminally ill.
Mm-hmm. It sounds like maybe, reading in this, it's not even that she's upset that they're going to be the ones taking the child. I don't think that's the issue. I think she's upset that the child, that they're letting the child call his wife mom, right? Like, that's the thing. She's like, no, that's not her mother. But if you're adopting someone, like, you get to call, you can call your adoptive parents mom and dad. Like, you are allowed to do that. And, like, I don't think there's anything wrong with this husband and wife raising the child that way. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I do think this person might be an asshole for the way they handled it.
The way
like
they're
just
awful.
like, get over it, it doesn't matter because you're going to die. Is definitely an asshole move. That is not the way to handle
They're
that.
definitely an asshole. And I also think that they're an asshole for not including her in the conversation. She was not included. It was a conversation decided by the three of them.
Yeah,
the son, the wife, and the dad.
And the fact that they did decide that without including her makes me think that maybe they thought she would have some reservations or concerns.
Exactly. It feels like it was done behind her back. And I'm like, did she talk to her husband about it? And did he tell her something that obviously wasn't true? Because if she's ever brought... I would assume that she would bring it up to her husband. And assumingly her husband would tell her something like, oh, I got this. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because, like, while I can't imagine them just never bringing it up and never talking about it, the fact that the couple already has the kid, there's probably some sort of conversation. And it was clear that she's just now finding out about what the end goal here is.
Right.
Which is horrible. So
it is, but it's also interesting because it doesn't sound like she had any plan for what was going to happen
No.
to the child.
Or she thought one thing was the plan, and that wasn't it.
But what did she think was the plan if...
Old man taking care of baby.
But he's not taking care of the baby now.
He sounds like they're living together, so he might be taking care of her. When you're in stage 4, stuff like going to the bathroom and it's difficult, and you do need a full-time caretaker when you are at that stage.
Oh, yeah, it makes sense.
So I am assuming that because they're living together, he's probably her caretaker.
Wow, imagine a 71-year-old caretaker.
I can. My grandfather is 98, and he is more capable than I am. Like, he was on immune suppressants and caught COVID and is fine.
Oh, man. Some people got the good genes.
Yeah, he was well built. I don't know what happened to me.
Yeah, my mom's partner's mother, so she would be like a great grandmother age to me.
Yeah.
But, like, she's just, I can't remember how old she is. She's like 90 or something, like in her 90s. And she's just like total perfect health. Like, everything's good, no problems whatsoever.
Yeah, you can't just assume because he's 70.
And I'm just like, that's wild to me. Like, some people just like, 90, they're fine. And you got other people where they're like 60 something and
they're frail as can be.
Or they have they have dementia. They have,
yeah.
It's just amazing the spectrum of genetics in the world. Anyway.
Yeah, we got screwed. I already feel old.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm not going to last that long. Yeah, so, I mean, to answer, am I the asshole? I think this person is the asshole.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, 100%.
To be clear, I don't think they're the asshole for adopting the child. I don't think they're the asshole for allowing the child to call the mom and dad. I do think he's an asshole for how he handled, for one, not involving the stepmother in the
adoption
conversation,
decision, yeah.
And for treating her so poorly when she was upset about it and not hearing her feelings and having a conversation about it.
Her reaction has me concerned about her capabilities to be an adoptive mother. With any adopted child, there's going to be extra trauma just for the pure nature of not being with your biological parents. It's going to be traumatic. And she doesn't seem like the most sympathetic person in the world. And so when her child eventually grows up questioning, like, well, and that's assuming that they're being honest about not letting the daughter forget her biological mother. What happens when she's like 16 and she's upset that her mom can't take her prom dress shopping? How is she going to treat the child then? Or, I'm assuming the child's a girl.
So,
or prom suit. Is that a thing? Prom suit shopping?
I don't think it's a thing.
Okay, but milestones.
I think that's, I mean, I am by no means an expert on adoption or raising children that are not your own biologically, but I've known quite a few people who, I think from that young an age, if you're a baby, they are your parents. Like, I mean, it doesn't matter if they're not your biological parents. I don't think that factors in. Like, they're your parents, you know? Like, I have friends who their parents remarried when they were like 4, so they have concrete memories of that time before that person existed. And they still call that person dad, and that person is still their dad because they've been with them ever since, you know?
But the assumption that every adopted child is the same in that regard.
No, you're right.
Yeah,
you're right.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
sure
so
there's going to be feelings.
It just, I am concerned that if the child ever has a moment where they're conflicted or missing the fact that they didn't get this with this other person, or just questioning that this set of parents won't be sympathetic.
Yeah.
Because obviously they weren't sympathetic to the mother who's like, hey, I'm never seeing my child grow up.
Yeah. Well, we don't know how the wife feels about this. She's not included in the story.
Yeah, no, but still, it's just like...
This is just the husband and the
you're
father
right.
And the stepmom.
Man, that makes it even worse. A rough male role model, I feel like, is...
Well, we don't know that he's going to be inconsiderate of the child. We just know he was inconsiderate of the stepmom.
I feel like it's an indicator.
Could be.
I'm just concerned. I don't
know. A lot of people treat children very differently than they treat other people. And, like, some people can pull out immense amounts of patience for children they cannot pull out for adults. right? Like
Not
there's
even
a lot
dying
of people who have that
adults.
expectation where like once you're an adult, I expect you to be able to handle yourself, right? I expect you to handle your emotions. I expect you to be able to handle what you're doing. But they don't expect that of children, and so they're very different.
Eventually, the children's going to be an adult, though.
Sure. It's just I have a feeling that there's definitely room for someone to be considerate in one aspect and not considerate in another. Yeah. I don't think people are wholly considerate or inconsiderate. I think that there are things that are easy to be considerate about, things that are harder to be considerate about, and they change from person to person.
Yeah,
this might just be something they are insensitive to.
I'm just so concerned. And then the grandfather seems like such a dick.
The grandfather, I don't think we know enough about his feelings. I mean, if anything, he's just like, hey, that was really mean. You shouldn't have said that. Like, that was upsetting. Like, why did you upset her?
He didn't say it in the moment. He also is so excited for retirement. It's not...
He also was involved in the conspiracy.
Yeah,
yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it's like...
There are no winners here.
There's no winners.
I don't like how anybody handled this.
No, it should have been a full... It sounds like maybe it is a good idea for the child to be adopted, but that should be the entire table's discussion. Yeah. All the adults involved should sit down and discuss it and discuss how they would like the child to be raised, how much information, at what stage in life, and all that stuff should be figured out well in advance.
Yeah.
So bad.
Yeah. It's, nobody's a winner here.
Nobody's a winner.
All right, well, I'm Ryan, and you can find me on Twitter and Instagram under Build, Write, Roll, where I post about my professional Dungeon Master experiences. You can check out the links in the description if you're interested in hiring a professional DM or looking to level up your own DM skills.
And you can find me, V, at I'm Cringe Queen at Instagram and Twitter, or check me out on YouTube as the Queen of Cringe, and be embarrassed with me.
All right, well, thanks for listening and cringing along with us.
And we'll catch you next time with more awesome cringe content.
I'm hypocritical, but at least I know we could be beautiful or maybe terrible. Only one way to know. Only one way to know.
Hello, I am Patrick.
And I'm Andrew. And I'm Christian.
And I'm Allie.
And we are Rad Theater, a podcast where a bunch of friends play role-playing games and share a single brain cell, and the GM doesn't always have it. Oh, and it's theater spelled the correct way, Theatre.